Hello and welcome to Get Better Sleep. Thanks for joining. As we're getting settled in, let's just kind of take a baseline for what your current state of sleep is. So from 1 to 10, if 10 is my sleep is so perfect that I'm not really sure why I even signed on to a webinar about sleep. And one is it's an absolute disaster every night. I'm chronically under-rested. Where are you in your current state of sleep? And if you'd like to drop that into the chat, I think it might just be helpful to understand what our baseline is. Very helpful. And as we're getting settled in, my biggest house rule for these webinars is that this is your time. So I invite you to do whatever you can to really make this space your own. Give yourself the gift of really focusing on yourself and your needs. So if that's closing your door, turning off your phone, whatever you can do to enjoy the chance to really focus on yourself. I invite you to participate in chat, except when we're doing an exercise, and that's both so you don't distract other people, but also so you're really focusing on yourself and your experience. But I absolutely invite you to chime in with questions, comments, talk with each other as we go. Why should you listen to me about sleep? I am not a doctor, so what do I have to say about this? Well, first of all, I've personally struggled with sleep myself. Perimenopause kind of threw my sleep off the rails for a while. And much of what we're going to cover tonight comes from my coaching training. So I understand sleep both personally and professionally. And I hear about sleep a lot from my coaching clients as being a sort of underlying issue for why it's hard to manage stress and deal with what's going on. We're getting a little bit of noise in the background, so if you're not muted, this might be a good time to mute yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, if you've had difficulty sleeping, maybe you've heard all of this before, but it still bears repeating. When life gets busy, it's easy to get a little sloppy about the basics, and there is no amount of relaxation and visualization that's going to send you off to sleep if you're highly caffeinated and laying in a hot, bright, noisy room. So let's just review some of these basics. I just had one of the participants for this workshop email me to say she figured out that she can't have coffee after 2 p.m. or it wrecks her sleep, and that was a really great discovery for her. Caffeine is a stimulant, and so, number one thing I often recommend is watch how much you're taking in and when you're taking it in. So if you can, just one sec, sorry, I need to admit, I'm not very good at multitasking apparently. So there we are. Watch how much caffeine you're taking in and when you're taking it in. And if cutting off at noon helps, or if cutting off at 10 a.m. helps, just notice that for you. Create a bedtime ritual. This can help because we aren't a light switch. You can't sort of go at 100 miles an hour and then expect your body to fall over asleep. In our house, that includes, we start to turn the lights down and we make hot tea and we feed the cats. Like there's just kind of a whole progression that starts to send the signal that it's time for bed. You've probably heard all of the advice about cutting out screen time in bed. It's harmful to your sleep, both because it's putting light into your eyes that tells your circadian rhythm that it's daytime, but also it might be that what you're watching is keeping you stimulated. It's designed to engage your brain. It's not sort of soothing you and getting you into that calm state. Ideally, you want a cool, dark, quiet room. I know for some of us that can be a challenge. I just moved out of New York after 20 years, and quiet is a hot commodity. But whatever of that you can control to make your environment conducive to sleep. For me, that environment includes a notebook and pen next to my bed. So if my brain starts racing with things I need to do or things I need to remember, I can write it down and release it instead of staying awake hoping that I'm going to cling to it and remember in the morning. And then when you get up in the morning, taking a morning walk can be really helpful for getting movement and getting light in your eyes, which tells that circadian rhythm, that cycle of wakefulness, that this is day and this is time to be awake. Now, one of the things I find really interesting, I've been doing some reading lately about this idea of biphasic sleep or second sleep. It's normal for humans to wake up in the middle of the night. So if that's what your body wants to do, maybe you just embrace it and wake up at 3 a.m. and get out of bed, go have a sandwich, go read a little bit, go to the bathroom. But whatever wakes you up in the middle of the night, you want to make sure that if you're up for more than just a few minutes, that you get out of bed so you don't associate bed with sleeplessness. And when you get out of bed, try and do something that's calming rather than stimulating. Don't go turn on all the lights and start doing your budget or watching a scary movie. You want to calm down. So any questions at this point? That just a little bit of sleep hygiene before we jump into some relaxation techniques, but I want to ask if there's any questions. Okay, then let's get to it, shall we? So first of all, this is why it's important to think about relaxation for sleep. When you're in what's often called fight or flight, and your heart is racing and your breath is fast and your body is pumping out adrenaline, that's not conducive to a calm state of restfulness that gets you drifting off towards sleep. The opposite of that is rest and digest, and it's right there in the name. When you're in the parasympathetic mode, that's when your life-sustaining processes like digestion, like sleep, work properly. And so getting out of that keyed up nervous system state is going to help you get over into rest and digest and be more conducive to sleep. So let's start with one of my favorite relaxation techniques. It's so easy to remember, easy to do. It's 4-7-8 breathing. So you breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 8, and repeat that for 30 seconds or a minute. Part of why this works is that long exhale tells your nervous system that you're safe. When we're activated, we're often breathing in like short, shallow, fast breathing. And here we're sort of reverse engineering. A long, slow exhale tells our nervous system that we're safe. Let's practice this together. Let's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You may need to practice and experiment what that pace feels like. to get used to sipping that breath out slowly when you exhale to make sure that you still have some air left by the time you get to 8. One thing you can do to modify this is as you're doing that breathing, focus on softening the back of your tongue and your jaw. When we're tense, when we're in fight or flight, it's common to clench. And so again, we'll reverse engineer by softening the jaw, softening the tongue to tell your nervous system it's time for rest and digest. Here's another way to relax yourself. It's easier to remember as counting down from 10 to 1. It's also called fractionation. The technique sounds a little more complicated than it is. We'll break it down and it might be easier when you watch me, but I'll tell you how it goes. So first, you close your eyes. That's easy enough, right? And then as you count down from 10 to 1, you'll open your eyes and close your eyes with each number. That's easy, right? Then in between the numbers, you'll breathe in and breathe out slowly and deeply at your own pace. And if you find it helpful, you may picture each number with your eyes closed to help you sort of keep pace with where you are counting down from 10 to 1. So for example, and I'll show you how this looks, I'll close my eyes, I'll breathe in, breathe out, and I open my eyes, close my eyes, breathe in and out. 9, open my eyes, and close my eyes. Hopefully with the glare of the light in my glasses, you can see that. So let's try this one together. So I invite you to close your eyes and breathe in, breathe out, and open your eyes, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. 9, open your eyes, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. 8, open and close. Get it? So you can do this from 10 to 1. You can also, if it helps you to relax, take it up to 20 or 50 or 100. It's not unlike counting sheep, right? So if you want to do this, however many numbers you'd like to count down, that's helpful for you. You can tailor it to your needs. Now, my husband, John, who's on the call, has had trouble sleeping on and off throughout our marriage. He's been doing this practice of listing words for the last week or two, and he reports in that it helps him. So there's your testimonial from someone on the call who's telling me that this is working. So first of all, you're going to pick a word that for you is neutral. For me, that might include words like chair or circle or flower or dark. You want it to be something simple. It doesn't have an emotional charge or an important meaning to you. Slowly and calmly, think of words that start with each letter until you run out. And again, the slow and calm is important. This isn't a game show. You don't get a prize for doing it as quickly as possible. Your goal is to relax. So let's see, I might do hat, capable, frame, farmer, candy. I'm going to move on to hot, candy, hard, hallucinate, itch. Big words, small words really doesn't matter. It's not an SAT vocabulary test. You get to decide what words you recall and how many you do. What words start with I, and maybe by the time you get to R, are you even thinking of words that start with R, or are you starting to drift off? With both fractionation and with this listing of words, the goal is to do something that's active enough to occupy your brain, to keep you from ruminating or worrying or list making with your to-do list, but kind of boring enough that it helps you to drift off. So it's sort of a low key way to occupy your brain. So we'll pause here, just ask if there are any questions before we move into visualizations. Okay, keep going. So I'm going to show you 4 different techniques so you can pick and choose. Either one will always be your favorite, or maybe you'll pick depending on what kind of sleeplessness you're experiencing that night. And we'll start with slowing down your thoughts. If your kind of sleeplessness is thinking, worrying, fretting, this one's for you. And when you're doing that, you may notice that your thoughts are coming fast and intense. There's a lot of energy and a lot of urgency. We're going to try and suck some of that urgency and energy out. And first, just noticing what you're thinking about, and then slowing down the words and putting more space in between the words. So if your fretting sounds like, oh my gosh, I should really get my will updated, and that meeting today, that went terribly, and politics are really stressing me out. Importantly, we aren't trying to stop the thoughts. We aren't fighting the thoughts. We're just slowing them down. So for example, that might be, I should get my will updated. Politics, stress, need. We're allowing the thought, we're just trying to take a little bit of the wind out of its sails. And then this is the visual version of that same kind of technique. If you lay awake at night replaying scenes from that fight you had with your spouse or that thing that happened at work, those images are probably pretty intense and vivid because they're hopped up on adrenaline. So just like we did with words, we'll try and calm them a little without fighting them. So first notice, what are you seeing? And then get curious about, how do you see it? Is it a still image? Is it more of a movie? Is it close? Is it far? Is it right in the center of your field of vision? Or is it up or down, left or right? Just notice how you're seeing what you see before maybe trying to slow it down, speed it up. And you take that image and move it farther away, and you make it black and white or grainy. If it's a movie, can you stop it? And you turn it upside down. Just notice. how you can play with the image itself without necessarily engaging with the content of the image or of that movie. I'm going to briefly explain these two techniques before we try them together quickly. So, have you ever taken a sleeping pill, a tranquilizer, a gummy, had a glass of wine to help you sleep, any kind of substance that's helped you fall asleep? Revivification is one of my favorite coaching vocabulary words. And what it means is bringing back to life that experience. So I invite you to just think about whatever that sleep aid was. We'll bring that into a visualization in just a minute. We're also going to explore your ideal sleep room. We talked about quiet and dark and cool, but maybe there's something else that really appeals to you in your perfect sleep room. We'll see if we find anything else. So if you'd like to try these out, here's the invitation. I invite you to close your eyes if you like, get comfortable. I like to plant my feet firmly on the ground and rest my hands palm up on my thighs, whatever feels comfortable to you. And I invite you to take a nice big deep breath in and slowly exhale. One more nice big deep breath in and slowly exhale. Invite you to put all of your focus, all of your energy in the center of your right hand, all of that focus resting on your right hand. And then move that focus to your right elbow. And move focus all of that attention to your right shoulder. And move that attention, move that focus to the left shoulder. That's right, feeling safe and comfortable, relaxing into the exercise, moving that attention and that focus down to the left elbow before letting it come to rest on the left palm. We'll do that circuit one more time, moving the attention, moving the focus to your right hand. That's right. Settling in, easy and comfortable. Moving the focus to the right elbow, right shoulder, left shoulder, and to the right elbow. That's right. Down to that left arm. Breathing slowly and comfortably at your own pace. I invite you to call to mind a time when you've taken a sleeping pill or a tranquilizer or a gummy, anything at all that you know for certain is going to help you fall asleep. And call to mind the first sensation that tells you, yes, it's working, and I am going to be able to fall asleep. Where do you know that very first sensation of the arrival of the assistance in your body? What does that come up feeling like? Mm, no, might you first notice that you're getting help to fall asleep? You notice it in your brain, in your breathing. What else do you notice as you feel this sensation? I invite you to press your thumb and your middle finger and your right hand together. Push those together tightly. This is your sleep button. When you press your thumb and your middle finger together, you can call up the sensation of getting help, being certain that you can sleep. I invite you to press that thumb and that finger together twice as hard now. And know that when you do this, you get even more help for those nights when you need it. In this state of comfort and relaxation, I invite you to see a door in front of you. Whatever it looks like is exactly right. This is the doorway to your personal ideal sleep room. I invite you to walk through that door and look around. What do you see? What do you hear? Maybe you even smell your personal perfect sleep room. Notice, is there a bed or a mat, hammock? What is it that's waiting for you to curl up and fall asleep in your perfect sleep room? I invite you to go over to it, snuggle on in, see what that feels like to be in your ideal place to get good, comfy rest. Do you feel softness of the head, like a great fabric of sheets? What do you notice in this perfect sleep environment? Take it all in and see if there's anything you might borrow to bring back to your in real life sleeping conditions. And then when you're ready, I invite you to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe a little to stretch a little. I like to roll my shoulders as I open my eyes. Come back to maybe wakefulness. Carol's in bed. Maybe she's going to want to just turn that light on. And if you'd like to share in the chat anything about how that went, I invite you to do that. And I'm mindful that we are at 30 minutes. So while you're doing that, I'll just give you the details on the next webinar I'm going to be doing. This one will be during the day, June 26th, 1 p.m. This one's going to be about making better decisions and making decisions better. I'll tap into the answers you already have, even if you don't know that you already have them, and make the best choices for you and your values. So when I send you the recording from tonight, I'll also give you the registration link for that if you'd like to join me. Josh, you said you're sleepy. That's great. That's great. John says, wow. Glad to hear it. Thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate you spending some time. Good night to you too, Carol. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. What I'd love to hear is if one or more of these techniques work for you and it improves your sleep. If you were at a 5 and you become a 6 or 7, if you were at a 6 and you get to an 8, I'd love to hear what worked for you. So drop me an email, report in, and nighty night.